It started innocently enough, or so it seemed. A few months ago, my wife told me she was going on a weekend trip with her friend, Sarah. I didn't think much of it at the time. Sarah wasn't someone I knew well, a casual acquaintance at best. But she and my wife had been friends for years. They deserved a little getaway, and I didn't question it. What I didn't realize was that this trip wasn't just a harmless girls' weekend. Turned out Sarah had ulterior motives. She wasn't there to bond with my wife or explore a new city. No, Sarah had arranged this trip to meet a man she'd been secretly messaging for years. A man she described as her best friend and soulmate. My wife stumbled upon this revelation during the trip, and when she came home, she shared it with me. First, we were both shocked. Sarah's actions felt like a betrayal of her marriage, but my wife shrugged it off, saying, "It's not our business." I reluctantly agreed, reasoning that it wasn't our place to interfere in someone else's marriage. After all, I didn't even know Sarah's husband. Not my circus, not my monkeys, I told myself. But then came Sarah's next proposition. She asked my wife to join her on another trip, this time an expensive one. Sarah even offered to cover all expenses, around $3,000, as a thank you for my wife's companionship, except this wasn't a vacation in the traditional sense. It was another pretense for Sarah to cheat on her husband, with my wife playing the role of willing alibi. When my wife told me about the offer, she was giddy, practically glowing at the thought of a free luxury getaway. My stomach turned. This wasn't just about Sarah anymore. My wife was complicit in enabling Sarah's infidelity, and she didn't seem to grasp the weight of her actions. Or worse, she didn't care. I tried to articulate how I felt. "Do you understand what you're doing?" I asked her. "You're helping someone betray their spouse. How can you be okay with that?" She brushed me off, saying, "It's just a trip. I'm not the one cheating." But to me, it was so much more than that. It wasn't just about Sarah's marriage, it was about ours. How could I trust someone who was willing to cover for such blatant deceit? What did this say about her values? About our shared commitment? If she could so easily condone Sarah's behavior, who's to say she wouldn't do the same to me? I spent sleepless nights wrestling with my thoughts. The woman I loved, the person I'd built a life with, was actively participating in something that went against everything I believed in. I felt betrayed, not just by her actions, but by her indifference to how it affected me and our marriage. Finally, I reached my breaking point. I decided that if she went on this trip, it would be the end of us. I told her as much, making it clear that her choices had consequences. "You're free to make your own decisions," I said. "But if you choose to go, don't expect to come home to the same life you left." She dismissed my warning, thinking I was bluffing. But I wasn't. While she was away, I changed the locks on the house and started preparing divorce papers. I also reached out to Sarah's husband, who had no idea what was happening behind his back. He was understandably devastated but thanked me for telling him. His lawyer assured him that Sarah's use of their joint savings to fund her affair would work in his favor during their divorce proceedings. When my wife returned from her trip, she was greeted by locked doors and silence. Her keys no longer worked, and her belongings were packed and waiting for her. She called me furious and confused, but I didn't waver. I told her I was done. "You made your choice," I said. "Now you have to live with it." The fallout was messy. She moved in with her parents and started bombarding me with messages and calls, begging for another chance. She swore up and down that nothing happened on the trip, that it would never happen again, that she'd been blinded by excitement and hadn't considered the implications. But I didn't believe her. The trust was gone, shattered by her actions and her willingness to prioritize a free vacation over our marriage. I've replayed everything in my head countless times, wondering if I overreacted or if there was a way to salvage what we had. But every time I come back to the same conclusion. This wasn't just about the trip. It was about values, trust, and respect, the foundation of any strong relationship. And ours had been eroded beyond repair. Sarah's husband filed for divorce shortly after learning the truth, and I've offered to testify on his behalf if needed. As for me, I'm working through the pain and trying to rebuild my life. It's not easy, but it feels right, because in the end, Staying in a marriage where trust is a joke and loyalty is optional isn't living. It's settling. And I refuse to settle.